Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to provide an update on the RTX 3080 AIB crashes from several statements that have been made from those AIB or add-in board partners. So let's hop right into it. On an article on tomshardware.com, we can see, which I will link this in the description, some of the responses from the AIB partners. Now, before I discuss the article, a brief overview. The RTX 3080 was crashing at speeds around or above 2 gigahertz due to capacitor quality. So there's two different types of capacitors. There are the ceramic PO SCAP capacitors and the higher end MLCC capacitors, and the main difference is the ceramic capacitors, which I'm going to throw an image up here with a card with all ceramic capacitors. These are more inefficient. They deliver not as clean power, and they're considerably cheaper. Hence why more companies would put these in their cards, especially you'd see these in larger quantities on lower end AIB cards. The MLCC capacitors, which I'm going to throw up an image here now, these are much higher quality and deliver much cleaner power, and are much more efficient in their power delivery, which is allowing you to be able to get the power you would need to hit those higher clock speeds. So Nvidia came out and they made a statement, and they said that Nvidia posted a driver this morning that improves stability. Regarding partner board designs, our partners regularly customize their designs, and we work closely with them in the process. The appropriate number of post-gap and MLCC groupings can vary depending upon the design and is not necessarily indicative of quality. Okay. If you're working closely with them, this wouldn't have happened, and is not necessarily indicative of quality, okay? That is a BS statement, and I'm going to be very frank with you. When you're putting cheaper parts on something, it is of cheaper quality. It is of lower quality. That is like using Samsung versus TSMC. When you use Samsung nodes, which are cheaper, it is a lower quality process node. We all know this. We all say this. So don't fall for that. I'm not saying Nvidia's in the wrong here. I do think they could have worked better with the AIBs. I think their whole let's be divisive with our launch and not tell AIBs stuff backfired on them. And AMD's still launching 2 months later anyway, so it wasn't giving them too much of an advantage there by doing that. And now ultimately we're seeing these issues appear, and this isn't only a driver issue. I do think there were some things with the driver that would play into this. So I do commend Nvidia for releasing some drivers there, but I think this mainly has to do with the capacitors on the cards. One of the ways I was told you could do this was on MSI cards. There is a way to undervolt the cards to create stability there. And basically the other solution to this really is don't push your cards to such high clock speeds, because we're normally only seeing this error at 2 gigahertz or above. So if you're running your clock at pretty normal speeds, which mind you, Ampere is not like RDNA2. RDNA2 is supposed to clock well above 2 gigahertz. Ampere is not like this. So most people, if they run the card at the stock clocks, should be fine. There may be some cases here and there, depending upon the workflow, depending upon how the GPU goes. But I would think most of the time, you should be okay there. And if you are having issues, undervolting your card is an option. I'm going to read some more of these statements here to see what your card may have here. So the one I'm going to read is from Asus. Now Asus, I'm going to put this out there. I have never liked Asus. I have never supported Asus. So for once you are hearing me, a complete Asus hater, give kudos to Asus, because they didn't use a single post-gap ceramic capacitor on their cards. They only use the MLCC capacitors. So Asus said, and probably one of the worst methods for communicating with customers and media to possibly... All right, that was the article. All retail ROG Strix and tough gaming GeForce RTX 3080 and 3090 graphics cards use only MLCC capacitors for decoupling close to the GPU. During development, we discovered this improvement made to the RTX 3090 and 3080 overclocking headroom. It's made specification changes before we started shipping cards for viewers and customers. Please note that some of the product images used on ETL sites and our product pages from early development samples so are not final. All images will be updated soon. Please bear with us. Great job, Asus. Fantastic job catching a problem, doing something about it. For once you have my accolades. EVGA. Recently, there's been discussion about the EVGA GeForce RTX 3080. So this is about the 3090 I'm seeing here, just the 3080. During our mass production, we discovered 6 post-gap solution cannot pass the real-world applications testing. Took almost a week of R&D to find the calls and reduce the post gaps to 4 and add 20 MLCC caps. So the MLCC capacitors, they come in groups of 10. Okay, so for every what you would have for one ceramic capacitor, you're getting 10 MLCC capacitors. Prior to shipping production boards, this is why EVGA GeForce RTX 3080 FTW3 series, that's a mouthful, was delayed at launch. There were no 6 POSCAP production EVGA GeForce RTX 3080 FTW3 boards shipped. But due to the time crunch, some of the reviewers were sent a pre-production version with the 6 ceramic capacitors. We're working with the reviewers directly to replace them. I'm not sure. I think it was either Linus or Jay. One of the two. I think they had a card. I think they had one of these EVGAs, and they said that EVGA said there was an issue with it. I believe it was Jay's 2 cents. And they said that EVGA was going to work on it. And they said, also note, we have updated the product pictures at EVGA.com to review production components that have shipped to gamers and enthusiasts since day one product launch. And once you receive the card, you compare for yourself. EVGA stands behind its products. Good job, EVGA. EVGA is probably one of the best NVIDIA GPUs you can get, AIB GPUs. And then Gigabyte said that in response to recent reports speculating the use of post-gap capacitors on the GeForce RTX 3080 3090 graphics cards could lead to stability issues and crashes, we'd like to clarify with the following statement. It is false that post-gap capacitors independently could cause a hardware crash. So that's why I said that I don't think it's just these capacitors. I think there's a couple of things at play, though I do think they're the main cause. It says whether a graphics card is stable or not requires a comprehensive evaluation of the overall circuit and power delivery design, not just the difference in capacitor types. Post gaps and MLCCs have different characteristics and uses, thus it is not true to assert that one capacitor type is better than the other. Gigabyte GeForce 30 series graphics cards are designed in accordance with NVIDIA specifications. They passed all required testing, thus the product quality is guaranteed. They cite their use of high quality SP cap capacitors, and they meet the specifications of NVIDIA and GPU power higher than the industry's average. They're basically here bragging they put better stuff in their cards. The cost of SP cap capacitors is not lower than that of MLCCs, saying we didn't cheap out on these. Gigabyte values product integrity highly and definitely does not reduce cost by using cheap materials. So this is Gigabyte coming out and saying, hey, other AIBs that cheaped out your cards, we're not like you, come buy our cards. Okay, so people who have other cards having issues, we're not like them, buy Gigabyte. So that's more of a marketing ploy than an honest statement, in my opinion. NVIDIA's released a driver that improves stability. Users provide upgrades to the latest driver for optimized performance. For users who encountered power-related issues with Gigabyte cards, Gigabyte will provide product replacement free of charge. So this is where they kind of walk back on their statement a little bit and are like, yeah, it is kind of the capacitors, but They're saying try the drivers first, basically because we don't want to replace a bunch of cards that are fine. And then here, Gigabyte has been constantly improving, optimizing product quality, especially in thermal designs, to provide best gaming experience for customers for decades. Latest Aorus GeForce RTX 30 series, we have paid extra attention to the cooling performance and introduced industry-leading solutions such as max-covered cooling to ensure that the operation of each component is stable. So once again, Gigabyte made more of theirs a marketing, I'm going to brag on my product statement, and EVGA was more of a, just kind of more of a direct, a little bit less unbiased statement. And then Asus basically just said, we fixed it, we did things right the first time, and that's it. And they didn't really go on about their brand. Now, the one I'm going to go, there's Galax, NO3D, Zotac. I might cover Zotac. I'm going to cover MSI first. So MSI has been aware of reports for customers, viewers, and system integrators there may be instability when GeForce RTX 30 series graphics cards core clocks exceed a certain amount. Latest GeForce driver fixes this issue. What I say, hits the drivers. And if they're having driver issues now with this big of an issue, I think they're going to have driver issues still, because they just released this driver today. Today is September 29th. So there's going to be some issues. I guarantee it. So we might be seeing a 57RXT here pulled by Nvidia. They might have talked a little too early there on the whole driver thing. As such, MSI recommends owners to upgrade to that which can be downloaded from the Nvidia website. I'm going to link that website down below so you guys can get those drivers in the description, so you don't have to sort through all these articles to find them. MSI stands behind design decisions for the RTX 30 series graphics. MSI utilizes a mixed capacitor grouping in both SP caps and MLCCs. All the cards that have shipped out beginning of production, which include the review samples, feature the PCB configurations as shown in the updated images below. MSI would like to express its appreciation to customers, reviewers, and system integrators for raising awareness of the issue and to Nvidia for cooperation in resolving the problem. It looks for most of the time they only use 10 MLCCs, and 2 of the cards have 20. And Zotac says, which you said is recognized by both us and head office. We've been informed. We are aware of the current situation and are working with Nvidia on solution. If a countermeasure is available, we will notify you through a notice immediately. We apologize for any concerns. So they're pretty direct, but they haven't figured anything out yet from the sounds of things. I'll try to keep you updated on that. So that's the story with the RTX 3080 issues. Like I said, it's partially a driver thing, so do get those updated drivers. I'm going to link that down in the description below. I cannot stress enough how important drivers are to the effectiveness and stability of a GPU, whether it's AMD or Nvidia. So please go do that if you have one of these cards. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you get a stable card. I'm trying to save you some hassle of possibly having to replace a card that might just have a driver issue. It might not be a capacitor issue. It may be. But let's at least take that step first to troubleshoot before we go into a whole nightmare, especially in COVID times with shipping and such. I really don't want to see you get caught up in that and potentially lose out a card that you might have been wanting, and you might have to get one and wait a couple weeks and whatnot. So please go download those drivers. Like I said, I will include a link in the description. I'm going to remind you at the end of the video too to go download those. Next news, AMD is going to beat the snot out of Intel, like I've been saying. Here we go. First signs of AMD Zen 3 Vermeer CPU surface. Ryzen 7 5800X tested. So these are the 5000 series, AMD 5000 series. This is an article on Tech Power Up, and it says that AMD is going to launch new desktop CPUs based on the Zen 3 core, which is called Vermeer. This is going to be on October 8th. I'm going to do a live stream on October 8th. Be there. Ring the bell when I put that out. Once I find the time, I'm creating that live stream. So I'm giving you guys plenty of time to hit the bell to be notified to join that live stream so you can hear my ramblings and bantering about how amazing AMD's processors are. A couple changes on this node. It's going to bring IPC gains. It's going to be manufactured on TSMC's 7nm plus node, which is an EUV node, so it uses a more refined process, which to be more accurate with the spacing of transistors, which will help improve power efficiency and the transistor density. And we have a new benchmark from Tom Apisak. The article misspelled it. And we have the first benchmark here compared to the top-of-the-line Intel Core i9-10900K. Top-of-the-line in ripoffs is what I'll say to that. Because truly, Intel, your price performance is just not that great. And for a couple extra FPS, I really don't see the point. But for those of you who want those extra FPS, here's an 8-core processor with 16 threads compared to a 10-core 20-thread processor, and it is doing amazing. In CPU frames, we're getting 133 frames per second. Intel is getting 114. Okay? 115. So let's round things up. Okay, let's see, 135, 115. Guys, 20 frames per second. 20. This isn't 3 or 4 or 5. 20. This is partly to do because of the combined CCX, where instead of 4 cores, now we have an 8-core CCX, which is going to help with the power density and the power efficiency, and with the latency on the chips. But also having that EUV 7nm node is going to be extremely helpful, along with AMD's innovation throughout the maturing of the ZEN3. And remember, Lisa Su said, Zen is going to age like fine wine. What'd they do? They first released, and Zen 1, the first Zen 1000 series, they released the 8-core processors, which were amazing value and very good performance. Zen 2, they refined those processors, okay? Zen 3, they added more cores. Now, or Zen 2, they added more cores. So Zen 1 was 2000 series, and then Zen 2 was 3000 series, which I do not like how that is lined up at all. It's very confusing. So we're on Zen 3, 5000 series, and they're refining. So we're not getting a core count increase. We might get a 10nm part, but we're not getting anything higher than 16 cores. But we are going to see significant gains in performance. I've heard anywhere from 15 to 20% gains in performance, and it looks like it's going to do amazing against Intel. Finally, I have a bit of news on Big Navi, because that is probably my favorite thing to talk about. So here we go. It's once again confirmed by a leak on Newegg. I don't think it's Newegg itself. It's Newegg Insider, where Big Navi has 5,120 stream processors, 16 gigabytes of memory, 256-bit bus, and a 300-watt TDP, which is about what I've been saying. Now, there's another leak here for the 6800 XT, which corroborates with Moore's Law is Dead, who said there would be a 60 CU variant of top die Navi, and we have 3840 stream processors, which if we divide that by 64, because there are 64 stream processors per compute unit, we get 60 compute units. 12 gigabytes memory, like I said, and a 192-bit bus, which is surprising, but keep in mind the infinity cache. Now, the base clock here is all 1500 megahertz, okay? I don't think these are final, so I wouldn't rely on those. Like I said, we do know AMD was still tweaking clocks, so that I wouldn't take that with too much information or too much trust there on that. But I think we get a pretty good idea on the rest of the specs there. And then the 6700 XT, same stream processors as the 5700 XT, which I find very odd. However, the IPC gain may be enough. But what the heck? There's 6 gigabytes of GDR6. I don't think they got this right. I think this is the 6600 XT or the 6500 XT, because why would you take your mid-range card from last year with the same stream processor, so we already have the same stream processor CUs, with the the Infinity Cache, even though it's 192-bit bus, adding the Infinity Cache, you're going to be fine. We know there's clocks on this card that could go up to 2500 megahertz, but you would not decrease the VRAM, especially when Nvidia's card has 8 gigabytes of VRAM. That's the card it's going to compete against. So I don't think this memory is right. So this makes me question a little bit on this here. Or, like I said, they got the information wrong. I don't think the 6700 XT would only have 40 CUs. That just seems odd. But then again, on Navi 22, it is possible because that die for some reason only goes up to 40 CUs. But I don't think that memory is legit. If it is, then I'm really concerned because that you're already going up against GDR6X, which even though it's an experimental memory, it still is faster. So I don't find that likely, especially when GDR6, 1 gigabyte module of it is $10. So AMD seriously won't spend $20 more and a little bit extra on their cooling, which we've seen those coolers. We know those things are going to be good. I don't see why, if you could pop one of those coolers on a 6900 XT with more than double the memory, double the stream processors, and you could do just fine with that, why you couldn't do that to the 6700 XT. So I don't trust that memory, but that is the update we have there on Big Navi and RDNA2. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I'm going to link everything down in the description below. I hope this video helps you. Once again, do not forget to update those drivers. I'm going to put the link down in the description for Nvidia's drivers, so you can go and you can download that. And I hope you have a great day, everybody. Bye.